morning. Yes. Of the morning. Introducing first a ticker with a, well, I don't know if it's a professional record. I don't know how many wins or how many losses. It stands 115% up. Fighting out of the red corner. Well, actually, no. Fighting out of the green corner. PLRZ. Yes, I am. Yes, I do. PLRZ. Oh yeah, no, it's got the glitch again. It's doing the stupid glitch. I gotta fix it again. I gotta fix it again. Putting it in there. Yeah. All right, give me 1 second. This thing over here. Come on. Yeah. But the audio is working. That's good. Okay. Audio is working. Good. Yes, sir. Let me fix the thing because it always does that. I don't know why it does that. It's so annoying. It is annoying. Very annoying. Yes, it is a bit annoying. It is a bit annoying. All right. There we go. All right. Okay. Beautiful. Got that fixed. There we go. Let's make sure. Is it looking somewhat schmexy to me? Yes, it is. All right. Yes, sir. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go. And why is okay? I go on X to try and check out my stream, see if everything's all copacetic and stuff. And I find a guy throwing peas at a computer. Yeah. Why is he throwing peas at a computer? Don't do that to your peas or your computer. Why? Anyways, let's see here. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, just getting ourselves all set up here. We're getting ourselves all set up right now. Getting everything all ready to go. Yeesh. Hey, look, you go on X, it's never a boring time, I'll tell you what. Never a boring time. All right. So, let's see here. Boom. All right. Let's get this over here. Boom, right there. Boom, right there. All right there. Okay, let's get that over there. Boom, get that set up. Let's see what else we got. Get that over. All right. Let's get this over here. All right, there we are. All right, there we go. Right there. Oh, whoopsie. Not the place I meant to put it. There. There we are. Bop, right there. Just sharing it all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. Just getting all the announcements ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir. All right. Got the announcements there. Good. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Hope you guys are doing well. All right. Boom, right there. And boom, right there. All right. Okay. Bop right there. Okay. And bop right there. Okay. Yeah. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. What's up, guys? It's Double Nicks, and welcome to another episode of Microcap Mornings. I am your host with the most. They call me DBL Nicks in the house, aka the Rainmaker. And I am here with the lovely Serengeti specialist herself. She likes to hang around the tall weeds, the high trees, the low seas, hitting them high knees. Sometimes she likes 2 cups of coffee. Other times she likes to jet ski. Sometimes she likes to regular ski. Other times she likes to get shot out the cannon and she goes wee. Other times she likes to go to Arby's and watch videos of puppies and kitties. Sometimes she'll even go to Wendy's. Other times she will go into the stock market and find them ABCDs. She does love to steal my lo mein, and to top it off, she finds some wonderful stocks like PMI, KALA, and PLRZ. We call her DBM Moms. Hey! All right, there we go. So, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing today? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. So before we begin, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, because sharing is caring, folks. Sharing is caring. And of course, if you want access to our private Discord, link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comments section. So be sure to check that out for the 4-day trial. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We were just made different, and the early bird gets the cash. The moolah, the loots, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. So let's take a look at some stocks that we discussed. We took a look at, we called earlier, PLRZ. We called that one for our private Discord earlier. All right. Private Discord. It ran up a nice 196% right there. Ran up a nice 196%. Yeesh. So, ladies and gentlemen, right now we got PLRZ. We called it on our private Discord earlier in the morning. And it ran up a nice 196%. 196%. Yes, sir. All right. So, got that going on right there. PLRZ called it this morning at 3:02 a.m. But before that, we started calling it out yesterday. Called it yesterday. PLRZ ran yesterday. We started calling it on the 2nd. So we have that PLRZ. Oh yeah, no, it's before the 2nd. Oh my, we started calling it out on the 2nd, but no, it was way before that. Wow, we started calling it out on the 2nd. At 7:14 a.m., called it throughout the 3rd, and then finally, we've been calling it today, and it's been running up nicely, ladies and gentlemen. Running up nicely. So we got that going on right there, folks. That is what we got going on. Yes, sir. All right. So, yeah. That is what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. Bop right there. But yeah, we started calling this thing out on the 2nd. Started calling it out on the 2nd right there. Bop. Right there. All right. And yeah, we started calling these things out early. So we called PLRZ early on the 2nd. We called it at 65%. It has since run up 198% today. It ran up a lot more on the previous days as well. Been a multi-day bagger, the Stonk PLRZ. Right, so we got that going on right there. That's what we got going on. So PLRZ, we've been calling it for a long time. Long time. All right, so we got that going on right there. Bob, right there. All right, let me put this out right over. Yeah. All right, beautiful. All right, so there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. All right, so we called PLRZ, which is now up 120%. We called PMI as well. PMI, we called that as well. PMI ran up 61%. 61%. So you got that going on as well. So let's check out PLRZ. So PLRZ, as of now, let's get a graffiti pencil activated for it. Let's get some support and resistance lines right over here. Bop, right there. All right. Has support currently at the $14.32 mark over there. All right. Then has resistance at $16.07. Has more resistance at the VWAP, which is $17.12. Then more at the $18.24 mark, and then 21.74. Those are all resistance points right there. But the main support line is $14.32. Has to hold above that. Has to break through 16.07, 17.12, 18.24, and 21.74 for it to really be so much maxi tumya. Has to break above the VWAP as of now. So PLRZ ran up a nice 196%. But what have you done for me lately? PLRZ needs volume to break the VWAP and resistance for it to be somewhat schmexy to meow. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Next stock we're going to be looking at. We're going to take a look at PMI. Let's take a look at PMI. PMI currently. Let's take a look. Let's get some support and resistance lines here. Bop right there. Bop right there. All right. PMI currently has to hold above 235. Has to hold above 260. Has to break through 261. Has to break through 266, which is where the VWAP is. Has to break through 280, 299, 322, and 359 for it to be so much Mexi Tumya. Right now, it basically isn't there yet. All right. And also has to break above the little downtrend it's got going on there. Actually, you know what? It does have a bit of a descending wedge going on currently. Bop right there. So we got that going on right there. So PMI needs to break the descending wedge, needs to break the VWAP for it to be so much Mexi Tumya. Needs to break those two things. PMI needs to break the descending wedge and the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's see what else we got here. What else we got? KALA. KALA. How's Kala doing? Kala seems to be making a bit of an ABCD pattern over here. A little bit of a tiny one. It is above the VWAP as of now, but the 9 EMA is starting to diverge away from that. So we got that going on right there. Kala is climbing up slowly. Slowly climbing its way on up. Slowly climbing its way on up. A bit choppy on the uptrend. The ABCD pattern right there. A little bit choppy. Little choppiness going on with it. But it is currently moving its way on up. Has to hold above the VWAPA. Has to hold above the VWAPA. So, KALA. KALA. Kala needs to remain friends with the trend and stay above the ABCD pattern. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Kala up 56%. 56%. We'll see what happens there. Went up to 58%. So we'll see what goes on. Right now, Kala's on a bit of an uptrend right now. So we'll see what goes on. But it does have some choppiness to it a little bit. Let's take a look at the float and volume for this stock, just out of curiosity. Let's see here. Float is 7 million. Volume is 35 million. So we got that going on right there. The volume is higher than the float. Good. Has to stay above. Has to remain friends with that trend line, though. That is the only thing. That is the only thing I would ask that this stock do, is just to remain friends with the trend. They behave itself. Yes. All right, let's take a look at CBIO in the meantime. CBIO. CBIO needs to break this pennant right over. Yeah. Also has to break the VWAP. So CBIO needs to break the pennant, needs to break the VWAP for it to be so much mentioned to me. Was a bit overbought in the RSI earlier in the day, but that has since changed. It's now rather indifferent on the RSI, so we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, so CBIO needs to break the pennant and the VWAPA. Yes, sir. Needs to break the VWAPA. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So, got that going on right there, folks. That is what we got going on. All right. Let's take a look at another stock that came in. This one has a very low bit of volume, but a very somewhat heavy float. But we'll check it out anyway. HY high. Yep, very choppy. HY needs more volume. HY needs more volume. Needs volume. Choppy. All right. Let's take a look at ASST, crowd favorite. It's a crowd favorite right there. All right. Yep. Very, very barcoded, needs volume. ASST needs to break the barcoding with some volume. Bop right there. All right, all right, all right. Let's take a look at BYND. BYND, same deal. Barcoding needs volume. All right, BYND barcoding needs volume to remain somewhat schmexy to mya. Open, also barcoding and needs volume. So, open barcoding and needs volume. All right, so we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on there for open. We got that going on right there, right there, right there, right there. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen. So right now these stocks are kind of looking a little bit choppy right now. We're gonna take a look at Kala. Kala, Kala, Kala is went up a nice 61% so far. Kala went up a nice 61%. Let's get this over here. Kala went up 61%. 61% right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, there we go. There we go. All right. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. All right, all right, all right. Oh, 1 second. 1 second. Oh, we got some requests here. Okay, so somebody requested KITT. All right, we'll take a look at KITT. Let me just put here Kala up 61%. All right, there we go. Let me get this over here. Let me make sure that this goes over here. Bop, right there. Let me see. Keep an eye on this little ABCD pattern, but also put some support and resistance lines over here. Has to hold above $1.38. Has to break through 148 for it to really continue to be schmexy to mya. Has to remain friends with the trend. That's what Cal's got to do right now. So we're going to see what goes on with it. Let's take a look at KITT. KITT. All right, KITT on a downtrend right now. Not looking schmexy right here. Has to break above the VWAP and the downtrend for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. So, KITT needs to break above the VWAPA and the downtrend. There we go. Boom, right there. Yeesh. So we got that going on right there. That's what we got going on right there. Let's take a look back at Kala. Kala, all right, currently has resistance at $1.50. Has to break above that for it to be so much maxi to mya. Has to break above that right there. All right, is currently still above 139. Needs to break above 150. Had a bit of a high test going on, but right now needs to remain friends with that ABCD uptrend right there for it to be so much maxi to mya. KALA, KALA. Yes. 1 second. There we go. There we are. There we are. There we are. Okay. So let's see what other stunks we got going on. XPON. Let's take a look at XPON. Someone requested XPON. Let's see how XPON is doing. XPON very choppy. Very, very choppy as of now. Not looking schmexy. XPON. Very choppy. Very choppy. Low volume. Kind of trash, not gonna lie. So XPON very choppy, low volume, not looking too schmexy, not looking schmexy. XPON 360, not looking schmexy, up 0.85%. That's about it though. Let's see about SGBX. SGBX, somebody requested that. Let's take a look at SGBX, up 4%. Very choppy, not looking schmexy. All right. So let's see here. All right. SGBX. SGBX. Very choppy. Needs volume. All right. Somebody asked, what about KIT? All right, KITT. KITT. All right, KIT needs to really break above this downtrend right over here because it is moving down. It fell below the VWAP. Needs to break back above the VWAP right there for it to be so much schmexy to me. Yeah. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's get a share party, share party, share party. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 500, 500 in terms of viewers. 1 second. Let's get to 500. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, all right, all right, all right. So, as of now, this stunk needs to get above 500. Well, actually, this ticker, KITT, is down 10%. On a downtrend right now, still needs to break above this VWAP right over here, is leaning towards being oversold in the RSI. Not looking too good right now. Needs volume to really curl, break that downtrend, break that VWAP, and curl up on that RSI right there for it to be somewhat interesting to him. Yeah, but right now, KITT still needs to break the downtrend. That's what it needs to do right there. KITT. KITT, unfortunately, still needs to break that downtrend. So we're going to see what happens with that. We're going to see what happens with that. Let's take a look at FLYE. FLYE has unconfirmed Q2 earnings due in 12 days from now on to December 16th before the market opens. We got that going on right there. That is something we got going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. And currently, FLYE is up 18%. 18%. All right. Has that going on right there. Needs to break above the VWAP because it is below the VWAP. Actually consolidated a little bit. Has some indecisive wicks going on. Was leaning a bit towards being oversold in the RSI. That's some good water. Ooh! But yeah, currently with this stock, it is below the VWAPA. Needs to break above the VWAPA. It is rather consolidated. It is well below the VWAPA. So FLYE, consolidated below the VWAP, needs to break through. There we go. Yes, sir. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 700. 700 people. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, to check out our 4-day trial for our real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different. Just made different. And the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And of course, with that, ladies and gentlemen, you get access to these amazing scanners right here, one of which is the market mover scanner right there. You get access to the newsroom over here, both of which have hyperlinks that give you access to all sorts of info pertaining to the stocks that are in the article on the newsroom right here, as well as hyperlinks for the stocks that are on the scanner right over here that gives you access to the change in percentage, the time in which it was scanned, whether it's moving up or down, the ticker, price, volume, float, even the chart and news and all that good stuff. On the newsroom, you got access to hyperlinks pertaining to the articles that are being shown here, a little synopsis of said articles, as well as the tickers that are affected by said articles, as well as hyperlinks to the information about the tickers that are affected by said articles. So you got that going on right there. That is what you got going on, ladies and gentlemen, as well as the fact that we also have an amazing and supportive community of wonderful, wonderful people, all of which are trying to improve, grow, and become better in every way, shape, or form. It's basically a growing community, a very much so big and growing community, very fast, very growing. And a lot of these people are just supportive, wonderful people who want the best for themselves, the best for everybody else. It's a very strong community. So, yeah, I love these people. They're very, very good people. Yeah, wonderful community, ladies and gentlemen. And then if you get the Wealth Builders package, you get all that, plus you get access to exclusive Wealth Builders content, such as educational courses, behind the scenes content, scripts, all that cool stuff right there. Exclusive Wealth Builder picks, and to top it off, exclusive access to Coach Nick Money and myself. So you got that going on right there. That is what you got going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, yeah, there we go. FLYE needs to break above the VWAP right now, so it needs to do that right there for it to be so much maxi to me. All right, let's take a look at some other stocks right there. Let's see what else we got. What else we got? All right, let's take a look at OPEN. OPEN again. Somebody requested OPEN. Let's take a look at OPEN. All right, OPEN. Hold on. Let me get this over here. All right, open. Not looking too schmexy right now. Very low volume and is now on a downtrend. Needs to break above the downtrend for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Open, very low volume. Now needs to break the downtrend as well. Very low volume. Needs to break the downtrend and the VWAPA for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Much as I love Open, it does need to get its act together a little bit. You know what I mean? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, yes. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. So, what else we got over here? What else we got? What else we got? Let me at them. Let me at them. Let's take a look at CRWV. CRWV. Someone requested CRWV. All right. Needs to break. Now, currently down 70.74%. Currently down 0.74%. Was above the VWAP for a time, but then formed a bit of a double top over here. A little bit of a double top. Not a big fan of the double tops. I like the double bottoms, but yet I like the bottom tails. All right. So we got that going on. Fell below the VWAP right over here. All right. And is currently moving on a downtrend right now. So CRWV currently on a downtrend right now. Needs to break above the VWAPA, for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Needs to break above the VWAPA and the downtrend for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Currently down 0.74%, though. Not schmexy. Not schmexy to mya. Let's take a look at NDRA. Someone requested NDRA. Let's take a look. Let's take a look over here. Looky here. NDRA. All right. NDRA currently with the stock, it is below the VWAP. Very, very choppy. Not a lot of volume with this stock right here. NDRA. Not a lot of volume. Very choppy. Very choppy. Needs to break the VWAPA. All right. Oh, excuse me. I was in caps lock. NDRA needs to break VWAP. Low volume. And very choppy. All right. There we go. All right. PPCB. Let's see how PPCB is doing. How's PPCB? PPCB moving up a little bit on low volume, but then just came back down, fell below the VWAP. So PPCB did have an uptrend on low volume. Had an uptrend on low volume, then came crashing down. All right. So we got that going on right there. Boom, right there. There we go. There we have it. Let's take a look at CBIO. CBIO. Let's take a look over here. CBIO currently needs to still break that pennant right there for it to be so much Mexi Tumya. CBIO still needs to break the pennant. And the VWAPA. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Boom. Right there. So we got that going on right there. Got that going on right there. Somebody requested BBBY. BBBY. Let's take a look at BBBY. Very choppy. Not schmexy at all. Not looking good. Not looking good at all. All right. Had a bit of an uptrend, but again, on some very low volume. Had a very heavy volume. And then just kind of went, there we go. Actually didn't have any volume at all whatsoever. So it just went down, dropped like a rock, and now it's above the VWAP. I'll give it that, but it is very much so low on volume. All right, up 0.91%. So you got that going on right there. Let's take a look at BBBY. BBBY needs volume. Really just needs volume due to being very choppy. All right. Needs a lot of volume because that ain't good right there. That ain't good right there. All right. Let's take a look at another stock. CMBM. Let's see how we do with this one. All right, so CMBM currently fell below the VWAP. Had a little bit of a price spike, then dropped below the VWAP. Not looking schmexy to me. Currently needs to break above the downtrend and needs to break above the VWAP. Right over here, for it to be somewhat schmexy to me, has unconfirmed Q1 earnings due in 12 days on December 16th after the market closes. So we got that going on right there. CMBM right there needs to break the downtrend and the VWAPA for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. also was a bit overbought in the RSI, so we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to 1,000. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1,000, 1,000, and remember, ladies and gentlemen, to check out the 4-day trial for our real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different, and the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loots, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, let's see what we got going on here. What we got? Let me at him. Okay, so as of now, CMBM needs to break above that downtrend. That's really what it needs to do right there. All right, that's what it really needs to do right there. Let's take a look at PLRZ. PLRZ. All right. Currently broke above the VWAPA. PLRZ broke above the VWAPA. All right. So we got that going on right there. PLRZ broke the VWAP. That's a good sign right there. That is a bit of a good sign, but then it fell below the VWAP just as I typed that. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. All right. There we go. There we go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So what other stonks we got going on? What other stonks do we have here? Let's take a look at JXG. Someone requested JXG. Let's take a look at JXG. But before we do that, let's take a look at Coot. Coot. Yes. All right. Let me get the graffiti pencil activated here. Bop right there. Has to break this pennant right here as well as stay above the VWAP. So Coot has to stay above the VWAP right now and break that pennant. All right. There we go. COOT. All right. COOT needs to break above the pennant and stay above the VWAPA for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Let's get INTS in here. INTS up 12%. Currently has a 58 million float, which is very heavy. Volume is 2 million. So it's moving up on some low volume. That's what I'm gathering from here. So yeah, got that going on right there. Let's see. Yeesh. All right. So as of now, INTS is moving up on low volume right there. INTS moving up on low volume. INTS moving on up on low volume. Yes. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, right now, that's what we got going on here. Let's take a look at QCLS. QCLS. Let's see how QCLS is doing. Same deal. Moving up on some very low volume. QCLS. Curling on low volume. QCLS. Moving up on low volume. Let's take a look, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look over here. All right. So QCLS needs more volume. It's moving up on low volume right now, but needs to remain going up for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What other stocks do we have going on here? What other stocks do we have today? Yes. Somebody requested JXG. Let's take a look at JXG. JXG. All right. JXG. All right. Very choppy. Not looking schmexy at all. Kind of low-key looks like trash. JXG. Yeah. All right. JXG needs volume. Very choppy and low volume. Yesh. Needs more volume. Has unconfirmed H1 earnings due in 12 days on the 16th of December before the market opens. So it's got that going on right there, JX, and that JXG, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to remain the same stock in my opinion. So we'll see what happens there. We shall see what happens. JXG, JXG. All right. So, yeah. Let's see what else we got. What other things do we have here? Let's see what else we got here. Somebody requested Kala. All right. Well, Kala is a pretty interesting choice right here. Kala, currently going downward now all of a sudden. Shot up right over here to 156 and then pretty much dropped down right there. Formed a bit of a descending wedge. All right. So Kala needs to break that downtrend for it to be so much mexy to me. The descending wedge right there. KLA needs to break the descending wedge and the hold on. Needs to break that descending wedge and the VWAP. The VWAPA. Yeesh. All right. So we got that going on right there. Kala currently up 43%. Needs to go higher for it to be so much mexy to me. Come on now. Come on, Kala. You were doing so good. You were doing so good there, Kala. Come on now. All right. All right. All right. All right. So. Let's see here. Let's see. Man. Kala needs to really break that descending wedge for it to be so much messy to me. All right, let's take a look at PMI. PMI. All right, so PMI needs to break through. Still needs to break through that down. Now it looks like it's forming a bit more of a pennant than anything else. So PMI needs to break the pennant. Needs to break the VWAP for it to be so much mexy to me. PMI needs to break the pennant and the VWAPA for it to be so much mexy to me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. All right, there we go. Ooh, just had to get stretching, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, right now PMI is currently moving in such a way that it is consolidated. It needs to break through that VWAP for it to be so much mexy to mya. Otherwise, it's just meh. All right. Let's see what we got going on here. Let us check out. Somebody requested IREN. Okay, interesting. IREN. I haven't heard of that stock in a little bit of a minute. IREN currently consolidated and dropping below the VWAP as well. IREN down 0.98%. IREN needs to break the downtrend. And all right. So IREN needs to break the downtrend and the VWAPA for it to be so much mexy to mya. As of now, currently the stock is not looking too schmexy. All right. Let's see what else we got here. What else we got? What else we got? Let me add them. Let me add them. All right. So, someone requested PMI. Let's take a look at PMI. PMI still needs to break through that pennant. PMI still needs to break the pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. LGHL. LGHL. Let's take a look at LGHL. See how that one's doing. LGHL. Major price spike just now. And then drop back down. But major price spike. Had. Yeah. So. LGHL currently up 9%. 9.99999%. Yeesh. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, it had a price spike on low volume. Needs to break back above that, though. LGHL had a price spike on low volume that dropped. There we go. All right. PMCB. Let's see what we got going on here. All right. So, PMCB, let me see. Let me maybe refresh. All right. So, currently, as of now, this stock, PMCB, it has unconfirmed Q2 earnings due in 12 days on December 16th after the market closes, has had a lot of indecisive wicks over here, a lot more indecisive wicks over here, needs to break its way on upward, but right now PMCB has very indecisive wicks as of this time. So, PMCB indecisive wicks everywhere. Yeesh. So, yeah. All right. So, as of now, PMCB, indecisive wicks everywhere, needs volume badly for it to be so much maxi to meow. All right. What else we got? What else we got? Let me add them. Let me add them. All right. All right. All right. All right. Mm. Hmm. Let's see what other stocks we got. Let's take a look at PLRZ. PLRZ, we are just a couple minutes away from the bell. The bell! It deafens me. PLRZ trying to test that VWAP right now. Tried to test that VWAP a little bit. Tried. PLRZ trying to test and break the VWAP. All right. So, as of now, currently we are just chilling right here. Let's take a look at FBL, and then METU, FBL. How's FBL doing? FBL, price spike right now on low volume. Price spike on low volume with FBL. FBL has a major price spike on low volume right there. Boom, right there. METU. Let's get a share party going, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to 1600. Let's get to 1600. METU, same deal. Price spike on low volume. All right, METU. Price spike on low volume. Yes. right, all right, all right. All right, so as of now, currently, METU is 12% up right now and it's slowly climbing its way on up. Let's see what it does. Let's see what it do. Does it have any news at all? Let's see if it has news. METU, does it have news? And no, it doesn't have any news. Does not have news. METU just climbing its way on up right now, just clamoring. Just climbing its way on up. There we go. Attaboy. That's fine. I don't mind. It's climbing its way on up 13%. But it did have a price spike. It is moving, so we got that going on. All right, a little bit overbought on the RSI, but you know it happens from time to time. It be like that. It do be like that sometimes. There we go. There we go. All right, all right, all right. All right. All right, so METU currently still needs to climb its way back up. PLRZ trying to climb its way on up, break that VWAP, has to break that VWAP. All right, METU still climbing its way on up slowly but surely. Yeesh. What other stunks do we have, ladies and gentlemen? Let's see what other stunks we have today. What other stunks we got? Let us begin. All right, all right, all right, all right. Let's see here. So right now, METU is slowly climbing its way on up. Still up 100. Excuse me, not 100. Still up 14%. Still up 14%. PLRZ trying to slowly climb its way on up right now. Slowly trying to climb its way on up. Testing the VWAP right now once again. Testing that VWAP once again. Hold on. Let's see here. Currently still trying to stay above. It's trying to peak above that VWAP still. PLRZ up 134%. PLRZ still trying to curl above that VWAP. All right, let's see. PLRZ still trying to form above the VWAP for it to be so much maxi to mya. Yes, it's got that coming up. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we got 17 minutes till the bell. The bell. It deafens me. All right, let's see how we got over here. BIOA. Let's see how BIOA is doing. No volume. No volume. Needs volume. Needs a volume for it to be so much maxi to mya. Needs a volume. Very choppy. Needs a volume right here. BIOA. BIOA. Choppy, uptrend, needs volume for it to be so much maxi to mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. What else we got? What else we got right there? All right. Let's see. What other things do we have today? Let's see here. Let's see. BIOA still choppy. Man. Not feeling that one right there. Not feeling that one right there. A lot of choppiness going on. A lot of choppiness going on as of late. Let's see. All right. Let's see here. So, IREN, again, once again, was requested of us here. Down 0.7%. Down 0.7%. Needs to break the VWAP. IREN, down 0.7%. Needs to break that VWAP. IREN needs to break. Needs to break the VWAP before it can become so much schmexy to me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. All right. So let's see here. What other stonks do we have for today? Let's see what we got. Let us see what we have here. Somebody requested META. All right. Let's take a look at META. Let's take a look at META. Sure. All right. Very heavy. Very, very heavy and high-priced stock. 600 shares. Up 41%, which is not really much for a stock with a heavy float and volume like this one. It does have news that Meta shares are trading higher after reports indicating CEO Mark Zuckerberg plans deep cuts to the company's metaverse efforts. So, okie dokie. I mean, it's got that going on for it, I suppose. All right. So, yeah, they got that going on right there. So, let's take a look. But yeah, Meta currently up 6%. META, very expensive stock. Not something I'd be looking at personally. META, expensive and very heavy float. Not schmaxy. All right. Let me see here. Alex Martinez says HUBC looks like a good one to keep an eye on. Let's take a look at HUBC then. HUBC, all right, a little bit below the VWAP, which is, it is what it is, but it is trying to climb its way on upward. I'll give it that. So it has to break through that VWAP for it to be so much Maxi Tumia. Has unconfirmed H1 earnings in 12 days, but it is down as well 2%. Let's take a look at the news for the stunk. Doesn't have much, actually, it does have news. HUBC signs multi-year licensing deal with aerospace and defense manufacturer, driving six-figure revenues and mission-critical expansion. All right, so it's got that going on for it right there. That is what it's got going on for it. And yeah, they announced a major commercial win following that new agreement with the leading aerospace and defense manufacturer. So it's got that going on right there. That's what it's got going on. HUBC down 3%, but can it curl past the VWAP? Can it break past that VWAP right there? It does have news. It has news. But can it break above the VWAP? Needs to break above that VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. HUBC needs to break that VWAP. There we go. Because it curled, ladies and gentlemen. So it needs to break that VWAP. That's what it needs to do right there. That's what it needs to do. So we'll see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. We shall see what happens. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, let's get a share party going on. Let's get a share party going on. Share party. Let's get to 1900. Come on now. Let's get to 1900. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, be sure to check out our 4-day trial for our real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different, and the early bird gets the cash. The moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. We got 10 minutes till the bell. 10 minutes until the morning bell. All right. So, we got that going on right there. All right. Let's take a look at some other stocks that have been requested. ABTC, somebody requested that. ABTC, all right, ABTC, very, very barcoded. Very barcoded. It broke above the VWAP a little bit, but still very barcoded, needs volume. All right, ABTC, very barcoded, needs volume for it to be so much maxi to mya. Yesh. Let's take a look at another stock right here. PLRZ. Somebody requested PLRZ. All right. PLRZ still needs to break above that VWAP. That's what it needs to do right there. It still needs to break above the VWAP for it to be so much maxi. To me, is up 128%, but it had a high of 196. So it has to break above that VWAP. That is the main goal here. So right now, probably needs to just break above the VWAP. I'm going to be real with you. PLRZ needs to break above that VWAP still. Needs to still break above the VWAP for it to be so much maxi to me. All right. All right. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, as of now, we got let's get ourselves a nice little share party. Let's get to 2,000. We are 8 minutes away from the bell. Let's see what happens with the bell, ladies and gentlemen. PMCB. Let's take a look at PMCB. PMCB. How's PMCB doing? PMCB is on an uptrend right now. Has unconfirmed Q2 earnings due in 12 days. So we'll see what happens there. Is moving up on low volume right now. Has a 6 million float, 3 million volume. PMCB currently moving its way on up 45%. Let's see what goes on. Can it go? Let's see. PMCB. All right. PMCB currently on the uptrend right now, on a slight uptrend, but it is moving up on low volume. So PMCB on the uptrend on low volume still, because the float is 6 million, volume is 4 million. It's creeping up, but it needs to break through. Otherwise, it's just BIOA. Let's take a look at BIOA. How's BIOA doing? BIOA also moving up on low float right here. The float is actually very heavy at 31 million. Volume is 58,000, so not looking too schmexy here. BIOA still needs volume. BIOA needs volume to continue to remain friends with the trend. All right, so what else we got? What else we got over here? All right, let's see about QCLS. QCLS. QCLS above the VWAP right now, needs to hold above that VWAP at 18%. Needs to hold above the VWAP right there. So QCLS needs to hold above the VWAP. All right. As of now, QCLS needs to still hold above that VWAP right there. Can it hold? We shall see. We shall see. All right. Somebody requested another stock right there. ONDS. Let's see how ONDS is doing. ONDS dropping like a rock. Not looking schmexy at all. All right. ONDS drop like a rock. Dropped like a rock. Needs volume to curl and break the VWAP. There we go. All right. All right. Let's see here. Let's take a look at SOFI. SOFI. Sophie needs to also break that VWAP and also needs to kind of break this little pennant right over Mia for it to be somewhat schmexy to Mia. All right, so SOFI needs to break the VWAP. SOFI needs to break the VWAP and the RSI. Actually, no, not the RSI. The pennant right there. Pennant, because it was leaning a bit towards being oversold in the RSI, so needs to do that for it to be somewhat schmexy to Mia. All right. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right. There we go. All right. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. Let's see here. Boom. Let's see what else we got over here. SOFI. It's still falling below the VWAP. Still falling below the VWAP. Not looking too schmexy right now. Not looking schmexy. We have 2 minutes till the bell. 2 minutes to the bell right there. Yeesh. All right. So, yeah. That's what we got going on there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, right now, currently, we are just chilling. We're just chilling like villains, waiting for the next stunk. For it to be somewhat schmexy to Mia. Got 2 minutes till the bell. And the bell should bring in more volume. More volume. Let's see here. 2 minutes. So we are going to be checking out some other stocks in the meantime. Let's see what else we got. What else we got? DVLT. DVLT. Somebody requested DVLT. Down 0.03%. Needs to break above the VWAP. Very, very choppy. Very barcoded. All right. So DVLT. DVLT. Barcoded. Needs to break the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to Mia. Let's see what else we got. What else we got today? What else do we have here? All right. Someone said PMI. All right, we'll take a look at PMI. Let's take a look at PMI over here. Because last I checked, PMI was down. But let's see how PMI is doing. PMI slowly curling a little bit, but it's still below the VWAP. Not looking too schmexy. Is still very much so below the VWAP. Below the VWAP right now. Curling a little bit off that descending wedge. Maybe, but Again, it's still below the VWAP. So, you know, it's got that going on right there, I suppose. PMI curling, unable to break VWAP. So, PMI unable to break the VWAP, needs to break the VWAP for it to be so much maxi to mya. There we go. There we go. There we go. And now it's 9:30. It's time for the bell. The bell. Yeesh. Let's take a look at PLRZ. PLRZ needs to still break that VWAP, though. PLRZ still needs to break that VWAP, though. All right, PLRZ still needs to break the VWAP. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. Let's see. What other stocks do we have today? Let's take a look at CBIO. Let's see how CBIO is doing. CBIO. Let's see. Ooh, did it now. PLRZ broke the VWAP. Oh my, peaking above the VWAP right now is PLRZ. PLRZ breaking above the VWAP. There we go. Breaking above the VWAP. Again, called this stock early in the morning. Ran up a nice 196%. Has to remain curling above the VWAP for it to be so much maxi to meow. While it's doing that, I'm going to keep an eye on something else. ABLV seems to have popped up on the scanner. Oh my, a little bit of a price spike going on with ABLV on low volume, though. Price spike on low volume, ABLV. All right, so ABLV price spike on low volume. ABLV price spike on low volume. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. So right now, ABLV needs to needs to remain friends with the trend for it to be so much maxi to meow. Let's take a look at ACON. ACON. Round trip. ACON. Tripping. There we go. ACON trying to get volume. Needs to stay above the VWAP right there. Yes, sir. All right, PLRZ. Still climbing up above the VWAP. That's good. Yesh. Up 145% PLRZ. PLRZ up 145% in curling. PLRZ slowly curling and broke the VWAP. Yeesh. All right. Yeesh. Oh my, Kala. Yeesh. Jinx, by the way, you owe me a beer. Anyway. Yeesh. KLA moving up a little bit, curling off that descending wedge and broke the VWAP. Yes, sir. PLRZ moving. Kala. broke the VWAP and needs to break the double top. What's up? Yeesh. PLRZ up 153. Oh my. All right. Has a bit of a double top though. Forming there has to break above that double top for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Because right now it has to hold above that VWAP. Come on, don't break all the progress you've been making. PLRZ, come on now. It needs to break that double top. PLRZ needs to break the double top right there and needs to stay above the VWAP. And, that way people can go and shop while this thing worries about, potentially even becoming the cream of the crop today. So you got that going on right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we got going on. All right. All right. So ABLV resuming. ABLV resumption. Oh my. ABLV resumption. Still moving up. ABLV, yes, up 70%. ABLV resumption, up 70% right there. Up 70%. ABLV. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Ooh, stretch. Ooh, there we go. All right. So, ABLV currently doing its thing right there. Let's see what else we got. XCH. Low float, heavy volume. Trying to stay above the VWAP right now. XCH had a price spike on low volume. Needs to remain. Needs to keep climbing. Ladies and gentlemen. Needs to remain friends with that ABC, that little VWAP up there. SAIC has some news, up 17%. Has news that Science Applications International shares are trading higher after the company raised its fiscal year 2026 EPS and sales guidance. Conference call scheduled for today at 10 a.m. and the Q3 earnings were released today before the market opened. So SAIC, major little price spike right over there, but heavy in terms of price. So very expensive, but it is climbing, ladies and gentlemen. SAIC on an uptrend. Expensive stonk, though. It is an expensive stonk. So, very pricey little thing, but it be like that. You know how it is, ladies and gentlemen. You know how it is, ladies and gents. Yeesh. All right. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, right now, SAIC up 17%. And yeah, they're basically trading higher after the company raised their fiscal year 2026 EPS and sales guidance. So that's what these guys got going on so far. SAIC, can it keep going? Maybe, but needs some volume. SAIC needs volume for it to really keep going and being so much maxi to mya. All right. Alrighty. SAIC needs to remain friends with the uptrend, which would be right about, yeah, right here. So, got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. A little bit overbought in the RSI. Little bit. So, we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, because sharing is caring, folks. Sharing is caring. Of course, if you want access to our private Discord, link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section, so be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different, and the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out our 4-day trial for our real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section, so be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We were just made different, and the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, yeesh. There we are. So, that's pretty much it for me. It's Double Nix. I love you guys. I'm here with the lovely Serengeti specialist herself. She likes to hang around the tall weeds, the high trees, the low seas, hitting them high knees. Sometimes she likes 2 cups of coffee. Other times she likes to, jet ski. Other times she likes to, give me the pencil for the graffiti. Let's see what did there. Yes, you like to go to Arby's and watch videos of puppies and kitties, and other times you do like to go to Wendy's, right? And other times you like to steal my lo mein, right? Yes, you. No. You still steal it, and other times she likes to go and steal some of my Mongolian beef. Yes, you do. Anyway. And to top it off, she did pick up some wonderful stonks. She went to the stock market, found some of them ABCDs. She did call some wonderful stonks like PMI, KLA, and PLRZ. One of which went up 196. We call her DBL Moms. All right, so that's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. So thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day. Make sure to, stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Have a cup of coffee, nice and nice. You know what I mean? And yeah, for those of you out there where it's very, very snowy, bundle up. Be safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you are indelibles. Leave your mark. Remember, that is unerasable. It is one of a kind. It is indelible. So, be sure to check out our 4-day trial for the real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join us in the description down below, so be sure to check that out. You get access to these amazing scanners right here, the newsroom, all of which have these hyperlinks to give you info on the documentation, the tickers themselves, whether or not they're the change in percentage points, whether it's moving up or down, the ticker, the stock price, volume, float, even things like the charts. You get access to those when you click the link as well. You get access to the news for these stocks. You get access to all this stuff. And to top it off, you get access to a wonderful, amazing community of indelibles that basically just want to grow, help each other grow. They want to grow themselves. They want to make their money. They want to help others grow as well. So it's basically a wonderful community. So be sure to check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Much love. Take care of yourselves. It's Double Nix. I love you guys. I'm here with